to do a video called Everything That You Need to Know Before Traveling to Cuba. Before we traveled there, I had a really hard time finding all the information and finding answers to my questions. So here's a little video, everything you need to know before traveling to Cuba. So the first thing you need to know is how to get there. For about 50 years, it's been illegal for Americans to travel to Cuba. Now, it's just illegal for Americans to be tourists in Cuba. So you can go to Cuba for one of 12 reasons. The top 3 reasons that come to my head are people to people, education, and journalism. When you book your flight, the airline, so for example, we booked through Spirit Airlines, and when we booked our flight, they asked us what reason we were choosing as to why we were traveling to Cuba. So the airline called us up, and they got all of our information, all of our passport information, and we filled out a visa. The visa cost $100, so be prepared for that. One thing that you might want to consider is bringing an itinerary. We actually got stopped at the airport and questioned as to why we were traveling there, what we were doing, and where we were staying. They also wrote down the passport numbers for everybody in our group. Have a plan, write down everything you're going to be doing, have the address of where you're staying so that if you get stopped like we did, everything works out for you. There's 2 currencies. There's the CUC, the kook, or the CUP, the cup. I just call it that. I probably sound like a total white girl. So the CUC and the CUP. The CUC is about 1 for 1 to the US dollar. The CUP is for the locals mostly, so you'll be dealing with CUC. One thing that you need to watch for is when you get change back, make sure that it's in the CUC and not the cup. The way that I was able to tell the difference between the 2 currencies easily is that one has a face on it and one has a building or some kind of architecture on it. There are no ATMs available in Cuba for you, and they don't accept US credit or debit cards, so you deal only in cash. So make sure you bring enough cash for your entire trip. You don't want to exchange your money straight from the US dollar to the kook. So how we did it is we exchanged our money from the US dollar to euro, and then from euro to kook, and that seemed to work out pretty nicely for us. Make sure that you exchange your money back to the US dollar before you leave the Cuban airport. It is a lot more difficult to exchange it when you get back to the States. Don't stay at an all-inclusive resort. Don't stay at a hotel. It's a red flag to the government if you're staying at a hotel. They think you're there to be a tourist. If you're gonna stay somewhere, stay with the people. So we actually got an Airbnb. I would recommend going the Airbnb route. It worked out really nicely for us. Getting around the island can be pretty inexpensive or expensive. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to get anywhere in Havana, I believe it's about $5 a taxi. If you want to go somewhere that's further away, like Viñales or Varadero, which I highly recommend doing, Viñales is about 2.5 hours away, and I think Varadero is about 3 hours away. So we had a driver take us, pick us up and take us there for the whole day, and that cost us about $25 to $35 per person for the whole day, and we lined up that driver through the person that we stayed with. So we never tried riding any of the buses. They looked really packed with the locals, so we didn't ride the buses. We only took taxis around Havana, and we arranged for a driver if we wanted to go somewhere that wasn't in Havana. One thing that a lot of people told me before I left for Cuba was, oh, you need to be careful, don't bring nice jewelry, don't wear your wedding ring. So I was a little bit worried at first, but after getting there, I realized how safe it is. A lot of the locals told us that the law is very strict there and they can get put in jail very easily. And so it's very rare that there's crimes committed, especially against tourists or travelers. We would walk around till about 1 o'clock in the morning down dark alleyways, and we didn't even bat an eye about it. I felt more safe in Cuba than I did in some parts in Utah. Whatever you do, don't drink the water. You have to buy bottled water, and it's a little bit expensive and you might be a little bit dehydrated. It's kind of hard to find, so when you see bottled water, buy it. Don't buy meat from sketchy street corner places. It looked questionable. So we only ate meat from nice restaurants. The most popular foods there that we saw at all the restaurants, so they always have like chicken and rice, and they have really good bread there. And then they also, a lot of restaurants serve pasta and pizza. But whatever you do, do not eat the pizza from Dino's. Dino's are all over the place and it's disgusting. The cola there is really, really good. The cola there is really good, and I actually like it better than Coca-Cola myself. It's kind of hard to access the internet in Cuba. What you have to do is go to like a town square or a plaza, find somebody that has an internet card that you can buy. It's about $3.50 for an hour, and then you just plug it in. It's not accessible all over the island, but I did hear from some locals that they have big plans to expand the internet throughout the whole island. I also heard rumors that there are some people getting Wi-Fi in their homes, but it's not easy to access, so make sure you have the address of where you're staying, all the places you want to go, so it's easier to get around and you don't have to rely on the internet. If at all possible, I would recommend taking somebody with you that can speak Spanish. There aren't very many people there that can speak fluent English. We had 2 people with us that spoke Spanish out of the 6. We felt like we really got to know the culture a lot better because we had somebody that spoke Spanish. One thing you might want to consider packing is toilet paper or wipes. When we were there in December, so not too long ago, they had a toilet paper shortage and there was no toilet paper in our Airbnb. So I would pack a roll of toilet paper or some wipes. Make sure you have all your toiletry items. It's kind of hard to find stuff there. When you go to public restaurants, they charge you 25 to 50 cents to go to the bathroom and they only give you a few squares of toilet paper, so keep that in mind. They don't have a lot of things that you can find here in America, so maybe if you're up to it and you have the room when you're packing, bring some fun things like American candy to hand out to the little kids. I mean, these poor kids have never had a Kit Kat. That's all I kept thinking. I'm like, I just want to give these kids some Kit Kats. They've never had a Kit Kat. Yeah, just anything that you think that you might have a hard time finding out there, I would bring with you. So my top 3 places that I would say you have to see while you're in Cuba are Havana, Varadero, I think I'm saying that right, and Vinales. So Vinales is the place with the tobacco fields. You can ride horses through the valley. It's beautiful, really green. It's kind of mountainous a little bit. And then Varadero is a really pretty beach. That's the more touristy area. There's lots of resorts and things like that. Be careful when you go there because being a tourist is illegal. And then Havana, there's just lots of things to look at. One place that I would actually recommend going as well is Old Havana. We didn't have time to go there. So Havana, Vinales, Varadero, and if you have time, Old Havana, those are places that I would say are a must-see. Stay tuned for our next video, and I hope you enjoy your time in Cuba.